everyone, and welcome to Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. In the news, Sulphur Springs police anticipate clearing more than a dozen crimes reported over the last 6 weeks by the end of this week, and filing additional charges against 4 teens taken into custody in the last 4 days. Police got their first big break in these cases after obtaining surveillance footage from a vehicle burglary and posting it to their social media site. Through continued investigation and interviews with informants, the officers were able to identify suspect vehicles, and 1 teen was arrested last Thursday and 3 more were arrested on Sunday. During interviews, the trio reportedly confessed to involvement in offenses, and police anticipate clearing 10 vehicle burglaries, 3 vehicle thefts, and the burglary of a convenience store in the 200 block of College Street. In addition to clearing numerous cases, the investigation has also resulted in recovery of many items reported stolen. Sulphur Springs School District administrators will be tasked with finding 2 teachers and a payroll coordinator in the near future. Sulphur Springs High School will be needing an auto tech teacher starting in the spring semester, as Troy Emerson turned in his notice of resignation effective at the end of this semester. High school will also be losing math and robotics teacher Rustin Pennington, who will be leaving his position at the end of the school year. The payroll coordinator, Kelly Perry, turned in a notice of resignation effective the end of the semester. School board also approved 3 new hires for elementary campuses. Jennifer Seeley and Christina Burns were approved as special ed aides. Seeley at Barbara Bush Primary and Burns at Sulphur Springs Elementary. Linda Couch was approved as the new secretary at Lamar Primary. Also discussed by the board after an executive session were potential community participants for strategic planning purposes.
Former Hopkins County Commissioner Precinct 1 Beth Weisenbaker and her committee are organizing a 50th class reunion for the 1969 Sulphur Springs High School senior class. It is set for Saturday, October 26th.
This is our 50th. Don't know where the years have gone. There's a group of us that have been working on it for about 6 months. We were kind of late to the game. Anybody that's ever been involved with arranging a class reunion, you kind of always wait to see who's going to take the lead, or at least who's going to join it.
Okay. Well, do you have a commitment from most everybody?
Well, we do. We were a little slow off the kick plate here, and our class had 157. Okay. And we've got 57 coming to the reunion. Wish it were more than that, but we've lost 47.
Oh,
and so, for your 50th, and they're scattered around the country with different, issues in their lives. We've heard from a lot of them, and some of them just can't make the commitment. But we invite anybody that has not responded just to be sure and come on out. We're going to be out at the Stew Grounds across from Central Baptist Church up into the park area, kind of between the skateboard park and the corner, about midways down. Okay. And we're going to have a banner up, and we're all going to eat stew together.
Okay.
And then that night at 6 o'clock, we're going to be at Whimsy on 300 Conley Street. And we're just going to have a dinner. And like I said, if you haven't made a reservation, we ordered a few extra plates, and they assured us that they could accommodate anybody that just happened to drop in.
Wonderful. A great place to meet is our downtown area.
Oh, without a doubt.
You've chosen that too. Well, class of 1969, so I was looking at your annual, and everybody's hair was a different thing.
Yeah.
I said, Beth, you look like you have on a crown. She was so royal looking.
Oh, you're
long black hair is
so
beautiful.
kind. You're so kind. And I think for those of y'all that were in the 60s with us, we had brush rollers.
Yes.
And if you had real curly hair, you used the orange juice cans.
The biggest size that you could
the
find.
biggest size you could.
To straighten your hair.
To straighten it. And it was quite okay to go out in public with your hair rolled. I mean, we did that quite often. I mean, it was easy because, you had brush rollers. And if you wanted to go somewhere that night, you had to roll your hair that morning so your hair would have time to dry. And so, you kind of lived in those rollers. Or had straight, stringy hair, one or the other.
Times were so different. And we were talking about the school. Your high school was where now?
Okay, I'm trying to remember. The campuses have changed so much. It's
Sulphur Springs Elementary.
Sulphur Springs Elementary. That was our high school. That's where we graduated in '69, and so times change. We started junior high in the administrative building over on Conley Street, and then we went from there. And that was relatively new school back then, and that was where we went. And we thought we were stepping in high cotton to be out there at that fancy brand new school.
And you talked about the gym and all the different things that went on in the gym.
Well, that's where the boys had football camp. And they would go up there, and it wasn't air conditioned back then. And they'd have the big fans set up. And I'm sure there's a lot of boys, young men, that can remember the football camp. And because as I was in the band, and of course band hall was right on down the way, and you would walk past and there were just mattresses everywhere, and they basically, I think, stayed up there about a week in August, so you can imagine it was rather warm. And the smells were lovely.
A bunch of boys in a gym in August.
Yeah.
Okay. And so these are parts of your memories of class of 1969. Let me ask you, what about the cars?
I had a 1964 Comet station wagon is what I drove. And, of course, it was a standard. Did have air. And but that was fancy if you had air back then. And that's if you were lucky you had a car. Usually it was your mom's car that she shared with you. Susan Payne had an Edsel. Is what I'm remembering. My memory could be going on me. We could talk to Susan, but it seems like one of the doors would always fly open. And, it was just everybody, you were lucky to have anything on four wheels to drive.
Well, true. But did anybody have a Mustang?
I'm sure somebody did. And it may have been Susan. Maybe that's what she replaced her Edsel with. I don't know. Susan was like the go-getter.
And she's still such a character here.
What you see of Susan today is still pretty much Susan of 1969. She's been a free spirit, just one of these people that you just absolutely love to be around. She's just and she looks, God almighty, she hadn't aged a whole lot.
I know.
She still looks like Susan, so I've got pictures to prove it on her.
Well, and looking through the annual, so many people are still here amongst us in our community now, and some of the girls you keep referring to as their maiden name.
Well, I do.
Help it.
I can't help it. They'll always be that way. I have to stop and think and take it on through. It's just like I want to be sure and mention the members of our committee, even though I want to strangle them because none of them agreed to come out here with me. And I told them, I said, Enola's a nice person. It's going to be a fine. But Sheila Jacobs Moore is one of them. Pam White. Let me see, Linda Potts. I'm running Diane Collins, and it was Diane Davis. I'm running the table. Vicki Minnie. Trying to think of who. Linda Charles. Only it's Linda Charles Blunt. And some of them had to work. They would have. I think Linda and Diane would have come with me, but they're working at CNBC or City National, whatever the initials are. And I think I've got everybody there. I don't think I left anybody out. Did I give you 8 with me? And
you're going to. Is this Saturday night? Is the 50th? This Saturday?
Yes.
The 50th class reunion.
The 50th class reunion. We're looking so forward to seeing everybody. And I wish everybody would bring their annuals. And back in the day, they would give you your annuals that morning. And then the teachers just knew everybody was going to sign annuals. So pretty much all day long, that's what you did at school, is that you signed annuals. And I think it would be fun if somebody still got their annuals, bring them and sign them 50 years later. I think would be a lot of fun for all of us. And if you've got your class ring, wear your class ring.
Okay.
And if you've got any letter jackets or just anything that you could bring with you, please do. They evoke good memories, and somebody might see it and come up with a memory you haven't thought of in a very long time.
Back then, we used these little pennants that had the name of a school or a college or something on it. Maybe someone's got that. Stuff like that would be fun to bring. What about teachers that you especially remember?
Wayne Gallion was one of my teachers. I was trying to think of who would still be around. Wayne started off, and he was I believe my 9th grade English teacher.
Okay.
And then at one time he was vice principal of the high school. And then my journalism teacher, Blanche Lewis, and she's passed away. Duran Artis was one of my teachers.
Okay.
Of course, Rex Wildman, took care of the band, and he was there all 4 years I was in band.
What about this lady named Gladys Alexander? Do you remember her?
Yes, Miss. I had her more. She was kind of like at the substitute level.
Okay.
But Miss Alexander was awesome. She was just the sweetest lady, and I truly enjoyed being around her. She, I believe, was more like everyday teacher back when I was in junior high.
Yeah. So many people have strong memories of Gladys Alexander. If you ever wonder why that road is called Gladys Alexander
Drive, that's it. Yeah, she was a terrific lady. She really was.
Well, and so you were in leadership positions even in high school.
I was. I've always been a doer. I guess I always will be till I draw my last breath. I enjoy being of service to people, and I guess that's how I ended up getting to be a commissioner, and I loved it. It was for 20 years, and then I was ready to not be a commissioner. But in high school, I remember I was involved with some different clubs, and I was involved with the Cat's Tail, which was the high school newspaper. And I went to Rex Wildman, who was the band director, and I really wanted to be drum major. I really did. And I told him, I said, listen, to be drum major, if I need to pull out of some of these other clubs so that you'll feel like I have the time to commit, I'll be happy to do that. Of course, you had to try out, and it was a blind tryout, but he told me at that time, and I have found them to be words of wisdom as I have grown through life. He told me, he said, Beth, no, don't pull out of anything. You will find as you go through life that the people that are involved the most are the ones that will always find you 5 minutes to give up their time and volunteer. And he's right. You can go to a person, because volunteers, everybody needs them. I can't think of one organization in this town that doesn't need volunteers. Somebody that loves to give of themselves will always find you 5 more minutes, and they won't give you an excuse. They'll just say, well, I'll figure it out, and I'll do it. Mm-hmm. And you'll ask some people that have more time than anything. And they'll look at you and give you all kinds of excuses. And you just think, oh, you're missing out. You're missing out on being a part of this great community. Hopkins is a very, very special place, as you know, Enola. You've been a part of it. I look out here at Mr. Bradford in KSST, radio workshop. Back in 1969, I was one of the radio workshop members, and I think Susan was, Donna Winkle was, Jimmy was. There's a whole list of us. I know I've left other people out, but what a blessing that he opened this station, and it was pretty much brand new back then, to us, so that we could come out here and get the experience of public speaking and of being in charge. And because he gave us a format, but he pretty much, I was trying to think, Dick Caldwell. Dick Caldwell was here. He didn't totally turn us loose. He left an adult out here with us. And, but, I like to think we honored Bill. and he will, or as I knew the Bradfords because we went to church together, but what awesome people to have done that.
The thing was that he gave you his trust, and you did not want to break that.
There you go.
And he carried that out through his career always. This is so very interesting. I love talking about your class of 1969 and Sulphur Springs High School. There's going to be a whole bunch of great memories shared this coming Saturday.
You bet. Everybody come. Even if you're from another class, hey, stop by. We love the people that, hey, I married one of them.
Do you have time? We have like 1 minute. How in the world did you find Donnie Weisenbaker?
I found Donnie Weisenbaker. He was a senior when I was a freshman, and I found him out at Lake Quitman. My parents had a lot out there. I glanced up, and there was this handsome man, young boy, driving a ski boat across the lake. He had on a yellow ET sweatshirt. And the crazy thing was driving the ski boat with his feet. I thought, man, howdy, he's handsome, but I just don't know how smart he is. But I figured out a way to meet him. And the rest is history. We ended up getting married.
Oh, and you went off to try out for the Kilgore Rangerettes.
I did.
I decided you wanted to be back home.
I did. I was 3 days away from tryouts, and I just thought, no, I'm going to go home and marry Donnie because that's where my heart is.
Thank you for sharing that with us.
Oh,
Beth.
you bet. And then Ola, thank you for having us. And again, everybody, we're going to be eating stew. We'll have a tent down there across from Central Baptist Church. Come have stew with us in the reunion, 6 o'clock. Whether you've made a reservation or not, come on. We're gonna accommodate whoever's there.
So at your site at the stew, close to Central Baptist and the corner, is where your site will be.
Oh yeah, we're just, it's a tent that we're eating stew. We're not cooking stew. We put up a tent and bring a chair because we just thought that'd be a great time for us all to visit.
And then that evening, 6 o'clock at Whimsy.
At Whimsy, and it's 300 Conley Street, right there on the corner it's where the chamber was.
Yes.
It's across from the new City Hall post office. When you get old, you always roll it back as to what it was.
Thank you, Beth Brady Weisenbaker.
Thank you, Nola.
Today.
In sports, on Coordinator Tuesday, Wildcats offensive coordinator Matt Young tells us about the Greenville defense the Wildcats will be facing Friday. But he begins by talking about the Wildcats offense against Corsicana last Friday.
Well, we're starting to gain some consistency in what we're doing. You know, we grade schematically how we do. We were 41% the other night. We're in the ball games, 28-14 in the third quarter. A couple frustrating drives coming out, just little things, execution, turning a blitzer loose, just dropping a stop route, taking it 8 yards instead of 7 yards, and so it's a little bit off. But we get down there and have a chance. Got first and goal on the 3, end up getting hit with a 15-yard penalty. Still have 4 chances to get in, and we're not able to get in. We got down to about the 6th on 4th and goal, and that would have been a big play. Put it at 28-21 with still about 7 minutes left in the game, and then we weren't able to go from there. So really just looking to close one out. That's why we keep talking about these guys. We're playing good football. We're getting after it. It's just when it comes down to make plays to win, that's what we got to do. And that's what we're stressing this week with them. Just, hey, this is the play. Hey, this is just kind of hollering out, hey, here's a 4th and goal. Because it's 2 games in a row against 2 of the best teams in the district. We've been in the game with the top 3 teams. Ennis, Roy City, and Corsicana. So, Caden Wallace continues to make good decisions. I think he was 23 out of 36 the other night. I think Caden Davis the other night is continuing to run hard chalk. Faced a little bit of an injury, but we're running extremely hard. I think our O-line's covering bodies up. So it's just understanding how, especially in this district, 19 deep, every play matters. You can't have anything that sets you back or you're going to get beat. Mm-hmm. And that's really what we're finding out the hard way as we go through this.
All right. Now you've got Greenville. That's turned into a really good rivalry, seemed like to me, real spirited ball games. And they've had a surprising season this year. Tell us about them on defense.
It's probably the best Greenville team we've faced since I've been here, just complete team-wise. They've had some better individual players, but those guys are doing a good job. I think the kids really understand defensively what they're doing. They are the least complicated of anybody that we play. And the kids know it, though, so they understand, well, here's what I have to do or I'm going to be taken advantage of. Extremely fast. I believe they won the sprint relay last year at the district track meet, and so you see those guys running around, and they close space in a hurry. So it's another team where They're not going to give up big plays. They're going to make you march it down the field, and people have difficulty doing that. They have confidence on the outside in their DBs. They played the stud receiver at Royce City that's got offer from Alabama. They covered him one-on-one, 3 yards off of him. They've got 2 defensive ends that are both 6 foot plus. One of them's an area qualifier in the hurdles.
Wildcats defensive coordinator Alex Guetta talks first about the Wildcats defense against Corsicana last week, and then gives us a preview of the Greenville Lions offense.
I was pleased for a half or so. We came out really flat to start off with. They came out and did some stuff they hadn't showed before. We made an adjustment, and they never did it again. We just had to make tackles. Like I said, we had several hits behind line of scrimmage, and couldn't capitalize on them.
Seemed like, defense is on the field a long time. Do you just kind of tire out a little bit, you think?
Yeah, definitely. That always plays a factor. We're on the field a long time, and then our guys are going both ways. So our main guys anyway. So they're running up and down the field. And they got to come off. Some are playing, punt teams. Some are on kickoffs. So we're trying to be creative on how we mix those kids up, but we still got to have those guys on the field as much as possible.
Anybody kind of jump out off the film when you looked at them?
Yeah. Usually I think Ryan Krill had a decent game. Brenna did a decent job as well. For a couple plays, Greenway was back. He did a good job. I think he was in 3 plays, had 3 tackles. Kind of re-injured a little bit, but he'll be ready to go. Other than that, we played just an average game, I think, all across the board, to be honest.
Right at the tail end, I thought Meskimen had a few good moments. You see a little bit more of him, you think? Or?
Yeah, I think we will this week. He'll get in the rotation a little bit. He's been, chomping at the bit to get in, and we found a chance to get him in, and he's been working a lot more defensively this week.
Oh, okay. Let's talk about Greenville on offense. They're getting it done this year in a big way.
Very fast. That's the main thing that stands out, man. They're fast. Their skilled guys can go. They have a running back, a receiver. They got a quarterback that can run their offense well now. So a lot of RPO stuff, some zone read stuff, and they're really good at what they do this year. So I think it's going to be a good battle.
You'd be pleased to know that Coach Duke calls his receivers the sprint relay team.
Yeah, well, he ain't lying. He's got them. They can go. But we'll see what happens. They got to run, and we just got to cover them. So I think we'll be okay.
How about their line? How do they impress you?
They're good. They move well. Like I said, I don't think they're as big as the last few teams we've seen, but they're well coached. They've been doing a really good job. Their record shows it. We're going to have to be on our A game this week to pull one off.
Their quarterback's had a good season.
Yeah, he has. He does a good job with the offense. I don't see any really crazy turnover stuff in him. And I think they keep him kind of limited throwing the ball, but he can run it really well. So we're going to have to be on him.
And Lester Turner, we remember, I think he had 2 touchdowns against us last year, and he's a player.
Incredible athlete. He can make things happen. He runs the ball well. He can catch the ball at the backfield. He's one to watch. And, like I said, we faced him last year. We tried to contain him. He got out on us, and hopefully we'll do a better job this year.
Very good. That's Channel 18 TV News. I'm Don Julian. Thank you for watching, and so long, everybody.